Hello everybody. In today's video what I'm going to be doing is something for my dad, and this is going to be for him to have on his desk. He has for his sort of computing and where he does his work and everything like that, and it's this little ornament here that he has. Now I believe it was originally a doorstop, and Dad likes it, and I thought I would paint it up for him and make it sort of more visually appealing. It's sort of just sort of bare metal with like a sort of coat of paint on it that had been chipped away. So what I'd done is I had scraped a lot of that off as much as I could, re-primed it, and now I'm going to give it a full-on paint job. I'm not going to go too fancy with the paint job, but I'm going to be using my miniature painting skills here to, make it look nice and have something for him nice on his desk that he'll enjoy, hopefully, when he's around on his computer and just doing work at his desk. So the reason why I'm doing this as well is because it's also coming up to Father's Day. In fact, the day that this video comes out, it'll be Father's Day in New Zealand, so I thought it'd be great for him to have, give it a Father's Day gift, sorry about that, as it'd be just something sort of fun to do and get to use my miniature painting skills. Dad asked me if I could do something with it one day, and I finally got to it, and I thought he will enjoy that. And I'm just going to keep it sort of reasonably simple, not going to go too crazy with it. And my dad does like enjoying sort of nautical themed things, and he has a lot of that sort of stuff by his desk. He has lots of collectible little model ships that you can get around the house and things like that. So I thought something that my dad enjoys, and he would like it if I painted this up. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm giving this a good paint job to make it look a little bit more nicer and something more vibrant and fun for his desk, so he can have a look at when he wants to, when he's at there just doing his work and things like that. So of course, as you can see here, I'm just going to be painting it up, giving it all nice and simple. I'm going to add a little bit of colour into there, but as a general, I want to keep it sort of basic. I didn't want to try and paint it up like it was one of those crazy flash ships, which is sort of like based on. I know Dad would like to keep it sort of simple colours and nice and plain and simple. Just have it there on the desk so it just looks nice and simple, not being too overly complicated. So that's what I'm going to do here, sort of doing it towards his taste essentially, and keeping it nice and simple. And the other thing too, of course, since this thing is metal, you can probably see me here as I'm trying to move it around. It's very, very heavy. I'm just trying to awkwardly hold it, so I'm moving it around as much as I can without holding it directly in my hand, because I wouldn't be able to paint for very long, because this thing is entirely made out of metal. It's very, very heavy. So I'm just going to be keeping it nice and flat sort of on the desk and poking at it with the paintbrush and just lifting it slightly. That's sort of the technique with this thing being so heavy. Otherwise, if it had been made out of plastic or something like that, I would definitely come with a painting handle or something to hold onto it a little bit more, and I'd be maneuvering it around one a little bit more than I am now. This thing is super, super heavy. As of course, like I said, I believe it's a doorstop. I'm not 100% sure, because it's got these two bits that look like they screw into the ground, but I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I believe it is, because it's got that weight that if you were to put it by a door, as well as it also sort of fits right next to a door if you wanted to put one up to it, that it would definitely hold it there. So I believe it is a doorstop, but my dad wants it as a nice little desk ornament, so that's why I'm painting it all up, so it's not that boring metal, especially that it was. I wish I actually had it taken a photo beforehand. That would have been a smart idea, but I primed it up, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a little video on this. So if Dad ever wanted to see how I painted it up, you can have a look on my video here to see how I painted it up, if he ever does decide to do that. And I thought it'd be fun for you guys to see what it was like in this little process of me just painting this up. So that's why I decided to put it out online here, so just give me something interesting to do, something that would actually motivate me to get it done, because like I said, my dad actually gave suggested to me to do this a little while ago, and I was like, yep, no problem, and I put it beside my desk in sort of the pile of shame area, and then it sort of just got buried there because I kept accumulating more miniatures and things like that. I sort of forgot about it for a while, and then I thought, oh, he's probably nearly forgotten about it at this point too, so that's a great time to paint it up, and he will probably remember it when he sees it again and go, oh, that's where it went, and hopefully he'll enjoy the paint job that I've done on it. So like I was also saying too, is I wanted to keep this paint job pretty plain and simple, as my dad does have a lot of the sort of collectible sort of model ships that you sometimes see in places around the house and everything like that. Some of them have some fancier paint jobs and everything like that, but I know that that's probably a little too sort of eye-catching to be on a desk. I know you just want it sort of just nicely out of the way, but nice and bold there, sitting there. It's not going to be too distracting on there, plus also just the amount of time and also how difficult this thing was sort of to paint. Even though I primed it up with a miniature primer here, it was still sort of a bit of a pain to paint. I think one of the reasons might be because this thing was entirely metal, and because of the time of year it is here, it was always very, very cold, so it was taking a long time for any paint to sort of dry and to get any sort of coverage on it too. Because this thing was entirely metal, it didn't have a lot of mass amount of texture on it, and that combined with the, because it's got nice, you know, big flat surfaces on it with not too much to grip to, so I was using miniature paints here, working good, but I would need to add a lot of layers to get it sort of covering right. It could be just the types of paint I'm using as well, but I think also just because it was so flat and smooth that I needed a lot of layers to build it up. So that's one sort of thing. And also too, one of the other things, because I was sort of just defaulting to my miniature painting sort of abilities here, as I actually ended up by putting washes on it, and boy did that go wonky in there. I still made it work. I still, because I just thought, yeah, well, especially when I was painting up the sails on the ship there, I was painting them up, I was like, oh, the colours are good, but they're not quite what I want. I want to have them sort of a little bit worn, so I placed a wash over top, as you see there, and it did make it staining and give the sort of effect, but because everything, just me forgetting that it's not a miniature, because everything was such a flat surface, it all sort of ran very weird and got very strange results on it. So it wasn't working out quite exactly what I wanted to there, but that's perfectly fine, and I can, you know, paint over it. I ended up just incorporating into there and using them as the shadows, but that was just me just straight away defaulting to my sort of miniature painting style there, which is going in with our base coats, coming in with a wash, and then or putting in some highlights and then going with a wash over top, which I'm glad I didn't do that, because that would have wrecked everything. I would have had to try to repaint over again. So luckily I placed the washes and then was going to do some highlights over top, so I could clean up a lot more with the highlights overall. But yeah, just definitely those flat surface, plus like I was saying before about the entire piece being made out of metal, and because of the time of year it is here, everything is just so cold, and I think it just made it even longer for that wash to dry. Maybe if I had hit it with a hairdryer or something, because of being metal, it might have heated up really fast and set everything pretty quickly, but it wasn't something I was sort of thinking about at the time. But anyway, I still hope he enjoys it, and he have a lot of fun looking at it on his desk. So one of the other things I actually wanted to do on this piece as well, while Dad asked me to paint it up, is he was asking me to paint the boat, but I didn't actually realise at the time when he gave it to me, until I was actually going and painting up, that it has actually these nice sculpted waves that it's sailing on here, and that's really cool too. So I want to give that whole bottom a good paint job and make it look like it's in the water there, that it's sailing on the seas, and sort of rim it around the edge to make it look like a nice cohesive piece, so it's sort of like on a nice display base essentially is what I want to try to do. So try and level that up a little bit. As well as that too, I also wanted to put a little bit of colour in there, just keeping it nice and simple, as it had these sculpted details onto the sails as well, and I didn't exactly know what sort of colour to do here, so I thought what I'd do is I'd just go with some of the main four sort of primary colours is what I was going to do, just keeping it nice and simple, make it look nice and eye-catching, because I know he didn't have anything sort of in mind for the paint job, so I just wanted to keep it nice and simple and bold, and going with these nice sort of primary colours here on the sails. It's nice and easy, and you can see it's clearly distinctive from a distance. My dad has actually a bit of colour blindness as well too, so rather than trying to match up perfectly with what he'd be able to see properly, and just keeping it nice and simple, which is exactly why I didn't go too over crazy with the details, is because my dad can also have a lot of struggles in seeing differences in color as well. So just keeping everything nice, plain and simple, and make each color sort of distinct on a piece so we can see the whole piece nice and evenly overall. So hopefully he will enjoy that touch. As well as that too, I want to put a little bit of effort into the water to try and make it look like real waves and make it look nice and interesting. I'm not quite sure how much my dad will probably notice that, but it's something there for me to give me a little bit of fun, especially with how quite nicely carved they are into that piece. And it's actually quite amazing how detailed it is for being completely metal, and it's all basically one solid piece. Like, it's unbelievable how heavy this thing is for how small it is, as you can see it in my hand. So it's not very big, but it is crazy heavy, and I think that's really cool, and hopefully give my dad some enjoyment there with that, sitting on a desk once it's all painted up. So let's go into those final shots, shall we, and see how it came out. And with all that completed, I hope you can see how you can use your miniature painting skills to do some other things with that there, and do something nice and simple. As what I've done here is just transform a sort of ordinary sort of desk ornament, or in this case a door stopper, into something sort of vibrant and amazing, and giving something a completely new lease on life. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and how you can use some of your miniature painting skills in other ways. So with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.